Jai Subhadra Devi ki, Shri Gaura ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananda Kotsa Vaishnava ki, Vrinda ki, Jai.
Hare Krishna, liebe Gäste, liebe Devotees, ein großes Willkommen zu unserem Sonntagsfest in unserem Krishna-Tempel Zürich. Hare Krishna, dear guests, dear devotees, a big welcome to our Sunday festival at our Krishna-Temple Zurich. Our Sunday program is as follows. We will now have a talk till 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock there will be our Sunday vegetarian feast. At 6:15 there will be a guided mantra meditation. At 7 o'clock a temple ceremony, and from 8 o'clock onwards till 9:30 there will be more mantra meditation or singing of mantras. For our talk we are very happy to invite our dear friend, His Grace Damodar Prasad Prabhu. Please welcome him with a big Haribol. Many of you know him already. He came in contact with Krishna consciousness, I think over 8-9 years, and he joined here in our temple in Zurich and was active in several different departments, mainly in sharing the Krishna consciousness knowledge with other people and also bringing the chanting of the holy names back onto the Zurich streets. For several years he was serving his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakticharu Maharaj, and was traveling with him and gaining there many practical wisdoms and knowledge. And for over 2 years now he's been serving here as our temple president, and today he's gonna speak on a topic called Plan for Life. And before we start, I request you everyone to move forward. Und frage noch wegen der Übersetzung. Braucht jemand eine Übersetzung ins Deutsche? Okay, no translation needed. So then I wish you a very nice Sunday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Nice to see all of you. I didn't expect so many devotees here. Anyone here for the first time? Yes, welcome. We saw each other outside. So yeah, I was actually supposed to give Sunday. Usually, Sunday classes are not so often, but still, being in a leading position, we should at least once a year come forward and show our face and say something. Hopefully inspiring. When we are managing, it's not always inspiring what we are saying. But then last month we had some changes. His Holiness Atmanivedana Swami came, and so I will try to talk today. We will now sing a song, Jai Radha Madhava. For those of you who don't know, Manu will be distributing some songbooks. Maybe we need a Mridanga player. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Selbst ist der Mann. Oder doch nicht? Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda So as mentioned, the title of today's talk is called Plan for Life. And this is something, it's nice actually when we can choose the topic ourselves. We can sometimes speak about things which maybe we think about in our own spiritual life, and where we feel we gain some understanding or realization, or even some curiosity. And so Plan for Life is the topic. And there's a joke amongst devotees. I'm sure many of you have heard it. The joke was like this: if you want to make Krishna laugh, then tell him about your plans. If you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans. In other words, our plans sometimes, not only sometimes, but most often, they don't come true. Who has this experience? Not everybody? Wow, really enthusiastic. There's another saying I remember. Even though I'm in the office a lot, I'm not even sure if it's still there, because you tend to have a blind spot. There is another saying which goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Who has heard that saying? Yeah, nice. I really like that. So if you put these two statements together, then what's the conclusion? Should we now plan or should we not plan? Because Krishna is laughing, you can imagine you go to Jagannath and say, Jagannath, this is my plan, and he's already laughing, but he will be even laughing more. And so does it mean we should not plan? There is another saying that actually it's not used with the word planning, but since it's basically the same thing, you can replace the word with planning, and then it goes like that. You should plan as everything depends on you, and pray as everything depends on Krishna. So that includes both, that we plan, but at the same time we have an understanding that actually I'm not in charge. I'm dependent on God, God's grace, Krishna's grace. So planning is actually very human. It's a very normal thing. Even Srila Prabhupada and I will try to read a few quotes because that's our tradition. Whatever we say, we have to at least try to substantiate. Not only try, we should substantiate. And so I'll be reading a few quotes. But planning is very human. Actually, you can ask a small child, you can go to kindergarten or maybe school and ask all the children, what do you want to become? And everybody will have an answer. I want to become a football star, I want to become Barbie, or I want to become a Hollywood actress, a singer, how you say, fire brigade. That was my thing when I was very small. And then football player. So even as a small child, we start to develop some plans, and that's like we have the title Plan for Life. Now, if you want to become a football star, it's not just some short-term plan, but it's a long-term plan for life. Why is it human? Because human beings, they have a very developed intelligence. If you go to an animal and ask an animal, what's your plan for tomorrow? No plan. Just continue like I did till now. If you ask a plant, not even an answer will come. Not even an animal will answer. But they don't have plans because their intelligence is not developed. In Srimad Bhagavatam is actually an amazing book. It gives the complete science of God consciousness, and it explains everything in very detail. And there is one section where Kapila Dev, he speaks about the material creation, and he explains how the elements are put together. And there is one verse which describes what is intelligence, because intelligence is considered to be an element. Like we have the earth element, we have the water element. So intelligence, in Sanskrit it's called buddhi, it is an element. And an element has a certain form, a certain substance. No, intelligence, you cannot see it, you cannot touch it, but still it has a substance. And here, actually, intelligence, it's described there, it's the product of the mode of passion. So the modes are maybe a little bit unfamiliar for some of you, but don't worry, maybe in another class this will be explained. The modes of nature are basically the energies which control material life. And so the mode of passion creates intelligence. And then here it is described what are the characteristics of intelligence. So I'm going to read it to you. Doubt, misapprehension, correct apprehension, memory, and sleep, as determined by their different functions, are said to be the distinct characteristics of intelligence. So doubt, misapprehension means if you have some wrong interpretation. Correct apprehension means a right interpretation. Memory and sleep. Sleep is quite interesting, which might sound a little bit strange. How can sleep be a function of the intelligence? But it actually makes sense even if you look in your practical life. Probably you all have been in a situation where you had to make a lot of decisions. You had to use your brain a lot. And what tends to happen is that you become very tired and sleepy. I remember No Ramdas was saying, for 2 years I'm serving as a temple president, and as a manager you have to make many decisions. You have to use a lot of your intelligence, and I noticed I was always tired. Still now I'm often tired because... And then what happens is the intelligence will become tired and you go into sleep mode. That's how the intelligence actually balances it out. So the human being, it has a more developed intelligence than other living entities, and that's a very special gift of nature. It's actually coming from nature, because as we mentioned, intelligence is a product of passion, which is nature itself. And this is given to the human being. And we can see how our whole society, our world, is so complex nowadays because we are using that intelligence to plan and do so many different things. It's all based on intelligence. Actually, this intelligence is, as Srila Prabhupada would say, it's a misuse of intelligence, because the human being didn't get that kind of intelligence by nature to make life more complicated, but to actually understand, to get answers to the real questions of life. And we'll speak about this a little later. So I'm going to read one quote to you from Srila Prabhupada. We are making one plan after another to be happy in this material world. I just cut the quote, I will read the rest after. And then here, another quote. The scientist, the politician, everyone is making his own plan to reach ultimate satisfaction. And how will they fulfill that plan? By manipulating nature. Krishna's external energy, barrier artha manina. This is actually confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita by Krishna himself. He says, Apariyamitastvanyang prakriting vidime parang Chivabhuta Mahabhavo Yayadam Daryate Jagat. Krishna is saying, okay, you have all the material elements, but then there is another energy. This is the living entity, you and me. And what do they do with these material elements? They try to enjoy them. They try to control these elements. So basically all our plan making and our use of intelligence means we try to understand how can I manipulate the material energy in such a way so I become happy. So we are thinking with our mind, we are using the intelligence, we kind of think about, what will bring us satisfaction, what will bring us happiness, and in this way we'll make a decision, and based on that decision we'll act in a certain way. No? That's the very 1.1 understanding of what means use of intelligence and planning. And then in our life we make many choices which then become plans eventually. This morning we had a very nice class, and I felt like Krishna is talking through Mahaparushika Prabhu. We were speaking about choices, and so I also included that a little bit. So we are making many choices, actually all the time we're making choices. Small choices, medium choices, big choices. Small choices, what am I going to eat today? What am I going to do tonight? Very small choices. But we are doing these choices, sometimes unconsciously. It's not that maybe consciously I'm thinking, but it's happening. We're making medium choices. What should I work? Where should I live? With whom should I go into a relationship? It's kind of a medium. Can also be a long term, of course, if it's for life. But then the bigger choices, are much more deep. And often in our society, we're not even touching those choices. We're not even touching those questions. And we will hear a little bit how some personalities who we can hear from in the scriptures, they give us the example what we should do when these questions come up. So just to finish that quote of Srila Prabhupada, he was saying we are making one plan after another to be happy in this material world. Every plan is meant to bring us happiness. And Srila Prabhupada says, but this place is certified by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Dukhalayam, Ashashvatam, a place of misery. So we are making plans in this world, but we don't know that actually this place is not meant to become happy. And there's many reasons for that, but the main reason is because we are experiencing suffering in this world. Mainly by taking birth, by becoming old, by becoming sick, and eventually by dying, we eventually will be deprived of our happiness. So we live this life in a certain way. We grow up, maybe from childhood we tend to develop some plan for our life. And for some, this plan of life even works out. Some, they have a plan, and by karma, they are allowed by nature to fulfill that plan. But before I was asking who has an experience when your plan doesn't work out, mostly it doesn't work out. Mostly it's actually not the case. And so we have plans, we have ideas how we can become happy, but it doesn't work out, and then we become frustrated, we become sad, we become angry. We experience all these very negative emotions. I'm sure we all have experience of that. And one thing I was thinking while preparing is, if you look, not all of them, but I would say most of them, and Prabhu was also saying this morning, if you look into a person's face, let's say an 80-year-old person, you will see often his choices or her choices made over a lifetime. And you often see a lot of frustration and sadness and wrinkles, and you can see a lot of emotion has been going through that person. And that's actually the proof that this life in this material world is quite stressful. And Krishna is saying us in Bhagavad Gita, and we are fortunate actually that we are in touch with his wisdom, so we can understand. We might be younger, we might be older, it doesn't matter, but we can understand that we should do something about it. Because the worst thing that happens is that you only realize it at the time of death. Or you realize it very late in your life. But actually it's much better if you realize it before. And in order for us to come to that point, we need two things basically. We need a crisis in our life. A crisis, not, now I don't know what I should eat. Should I eat this or that? Or should I buy this clothes or that clothes? In the Western world we have problems like Austo. I was just thinking of you the other day on the phone. You were telling me how sometimes you hear people speaking in this realm, sorry for quoting you, in Switzerland, and we have problems, but these are not problems actually. You go to another country, they have war and so many problems, and we're speaking about all kinds of nonsense. So, no, we're speaking about a crisis, actually an identity crisis, in a sense. So that's the first thing, but that's not enough. And we need more. And what we need is, so that the crisis usually comes from outside. We don't have to. It's not that somebody, please, now bring the crisis, I'm ready. Except Kunti Maharani, she was praying like that. Kunti is a great devotee. She was praying to the Lord, please send me so many problems in my life so that I can always connect with you. Because if I don't have a problem, then what's the need of connecting to God? But she was praying, please give me problems so I can constantly remember you. So we are usually not on that stage. The problem will come anyway, but then what are we going to do with that problem? And we can learn from Arjuna. So the Bhagavad Gita, it's an amazing book, and it's wisdom for everyone. Srila Prabhupada says the following about Bhagavad Gita, which is very nicely connected with this topic. Being an associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above all ignorance. Meaning Arjuna, he was actually he didn't have any problems. He was a pure devotee. But Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life, so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generations of human beings and chalk out the plan of life. Srila Prabhupada is saying in Bhagavad Gita introduction. Then man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. So, in other words, the Bhagavad Gita is a book which should help us plan our life. And the first thing we learn from Arjuna, we said, okay, there will be a problem, there will be crisis, but that's not enough. Because everybody has problems, everybody has crisis. And again, if you look at old people, you can see, just by looking at them, they went through a lot. But not necessarily they have become very spiritual, very Krishna conscious. And the reason is because of the attitude. And that's the second thing which we have to bring from our side. We need to have the right attitude. And Arjuna is giving the example here. Karpanya dosha pata svabhava prichamitang dharma samuda cheta yachirya sanishitam bruhitan me shishyastyahang shadimang tvang prapanam. Arjuna is saying, now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna, he was facing a big crisis in his life. He was standing on the battlefield. He was supposed to fight against his relatives and friends, kill them, but he became overwhelmed. He didn't want to do it. But at the same time he could sense that it's his duty, but then he was all confused about his duty. So he took a very humble position. He said, I actually don't know. I don't know what I should do. And of course he was fortunate that there was a person who could guide him in this situation. So that's another thing, maybe a third thing. We need a problem, we need a humble attitude, and we need a person whom we can ask. I want to speak about, well, we already have 35. I want to speak about one other devotee who is giving us a very nice example, who is also showing that life crisis and how to deal with it. And this is Sanatana Goswami. If you look on the altar, on the very right down, there is a painting with 6 personalities. So these are the 6 Goswamis, and Sanatana Goswami is one of them. And Sanatana Goswami, he lived around 500 years ago in India, in West Bengal, and he was a very, very powerful, qualified personality. He grew up in an Indian Brahmin family, which means a family of very high virtues and learning. Very good qualities. Brahmin families are very good qualities, very educated. And this Sanatana Goswami, he was so qualified, such a perfect man, that the king of the area he was living, who was a Muslim. So Muslims usually, at least at that time, they didn't like to mingle so much with Hindus. What to speak of working with them? But this king, Nawab Hussain Shah, he appointed him the prime minister of his kingdom. Means he was so qualified personality, and he was very influential personality. So this Sanatana Goswami, he lived and he performed his duty, and of course all along he was very God conscious. But he was living basically a happy life, you could say. But at some point what happened, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who also lived during that time and who is Krishna himself, appearing in Kali Yuga to spread Krishna consciousness, he happened to come by that place where Sanatana was living, and he actually became the cause of the real life crisis of Sanatana Goswami, because he was God conscious, but now seeing Mahaprabhu, seeing the Lord himself, he didn't see any meaning anymore in his life. He felt, I have so much power, I have so much wealth, I have a nice family, I have everything, but it's useless, because the Lord is on this planet and he's the perfect being, and I want to be with him, and I don't want to continue with this life. So he had a real midlife crisis. And can you imagine, nowadays most of us, not me of course, but most of you I guess have a job, you have some contract, and if you like, you can quit the contract. Maybe you have 3 months period, and then you can arrivederci. But being a prime minister of a whole kingdom, it's not such an easy thing. It's not like everybody can just write an application and then we changed it. No, you have to be qualified. So, but still, Sanatana Goswami, he was so in such a crisis, and so he lost all inspiration for his job, that at one point he just didn't go to work anymore. And the king was informed that Sanatana Goswami is sick. Sometimes we do that too now. Like, I'm not sick, but somehow or other I don't want to go to work, so Sanatana Goswami, he was not sick, but the doctor told him, or he informed that he's actually sick. And no, it was like that. He informed the king that he was ill, and then the king, after some days, he sent the doctor, and the doctor went there and saw the situation, and he came back to the king and said, Sanatana Goswami is actually not sick. He's reading Srimad Bhagavatam all day long with the Brahmins. So he couldn't continue with his life in this material world, with this nonsense or senseless life, but he wanted to study Bhagavatam. And what happened? The king, Nawab Hussain Shah, he had a big kingdom, he was very powerful. He told Sanatana, why are you not coming to work? And he told him, see, I can't continue with this job. I'm done. And the king said to him, I need you. Because actually you're like my older brother who is taking care of me. I'm doing all kinds of nonsense, because he was very famous for being cruel. He would go to other kingdoms, kill everybody, rob everything, and be very cruel. And then Sanatana Goswami basically was the person who was rectifying the situation. He would always, make sure that things work out. So the king told him, I need you. But Sanatana Goswami, he was so determined, he said, no, I can't. So the king threw him into the prison. The prison is still there in Malda, in Bengal. You can go and see it. And so Sanatana Goswami, now he was in big trouble, and of course the story is that his brother also was in the same situation. He was the finance minister of the king. But Rupa Goswami was more intelligent. He just left. He ran away without informing the king. But Sanatana Goswami was put into prison. So, to make a long story short, Sanatana Goswami, he bribed the jailkeeper, gave him money, and he escaped. And he ran. In the night he started to run. And over hundreds of kilometers he ran from Bengal to Varanasi, where he met Mahaprabhu. And when he came to Mahaprabhu, now again, we just saw Arjuna, how he has a problem in his life, and he's becoming very humble. He's telling, I have a problem, I don't know if I should go right or left. And similarly, Sanatana Goswami, he's a very qualified person, He spoke, it's described, he spoke like 4 or 5 languages fluently. And again, he was the prime minister of a huge kingdom. But what happened when he came to Mahaprabhu, he paid full obeisances, and he started to tell the Lord that I'm so fallen. I have so many bad qualities, and I don't know what is the purpose of life. I don't know who I am. So these are the big questions in life. These are the big decisions to decide, who am I? How do I think? What's the purpose of life? What's actually true happiness? And if we ask these questions, then we make big decisions in life. But as we said, in order for us to come to that point, to really inquire about this point, we need this humility. And it's very interesting that we are in this material world, we're planning, we are living, and we're basically suffering all the way through, if we are honest. Because everything is based on ignorance. But then, if we want to develop a life in knowledge, we have to start with knowledge. And Krishna is saying, to the point of humility, in Bhagavad Gita, when he's asked, what is knowledge, what does he say? What's real knowledge? Humility is the first stage of knowledge is somebody is humble. If somebody is not humble, that means it's not knowledge. That means if you go to a university, I'm just giving an example, not pointing out to the university or something, but let's say you go to a university and you have a professor who has a lot of knowledge, but is very proud, you can understand it's actually not knowledge, it's maybe information. But real knowledge starts with humility, and then it builds up. And Prabhupada, he's explaining here, because in the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, and then it goes on, up to philosophical search for the absolute truth. So there's 24 aspects of knowledge. And it's like Prabhupada is explaining, I read to you. This process of knowledge is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent men as being the interaction of the field of activity. But actually this is the real process of knowledge. If one accepts this process, then the possibility of approaching the absolute truth exists. So, if one has to start with humility. So we are very fortunate if we have real problems in our life, real crises in our life, and we become humble. We become humbled. I actually don't know how to be happy. I'm trying and trying, but I became so frustrated. Actually, I'm so depressed. I don't know what to do. And then what should we do? Arjuna and Sanatana Goswami, they give the example. We should approach a person who can give us knowledge. And then, based on knowledge, we should make a plan. But before we make a plan for life, we should plan for life. What does it mean? You know, I was thinking about this phrase. Basically, we grow up, and as we said, from very young age, we all have a plan in our mind. Meaning, we have some kind of understanding how I will become happy. No, I know how I will become happy. But we fail to ask the question, you know, what's the purpose of life? Why? Why am I here? Why do I live? So before focusing on the plan, we should focus on what is actually life. What means life? Because I can make a plan. Like the other day I had a dream. And somehow or other some old impressions came up. I was all of a sudden in the football wardrobe with my team colleagues. And I was putting on the clothes, and then I was going to the field. And I was thinking, hold on, I didn't play for a long time, but I'm feeling good, you know. And so I got the ball, and I was playing football. And while I was playing football, I could, afterwards when I woke up, I could see how I was thinking, wow, I'm back. You know, I wasn't playing for a long time, but maybe I can still become a professional soccer player. Then I woke up and I realized it's just a dream. So, but what was happening in my dream, I was starting to making plans because I was in a certain situation. The same thing happens with us. We are in a certain situation in life, we start to make plan, but we actually don't understand that we're just dreaming. We're just in an illusion. And so when we have a problem in life, when we have a crisis, and we go to a person who has knowledge, and in a humble way we ask, the first thing he will tell us is what is actually real life. And also, Sanatana Goswami, he got instructed by Mahaprabhu. It's a very beautiful section where Mahaprabhu speaks to Sanatana. He starts, we just heard Sanatana Goswami goes to Mahaprabhu, he pays obeisances, and he basically tells him, I need your guidance, I don't know anything. And then Mahaprabhu starts to explain many, many things, and one of the things he explains to him is the following. Mahaprabhu says, the following parable may be given. Once a learned astrologer came to the house of a poor man and, seeing his distressed condition, questioned him. So similarly, like you can imagine you having some problem, you're having a crisis. And the astrologer asked, why are you unhappy? Your father was very wealthy, but he did not disclose his wealth to you because he died elsewhere. So basically the person is unhappy because he's poor, financial problems, and no money, no friends, you know, all the chain reaction that comes. And Mahaprabhu then says, just as the words of the astrologer gave news of the poor man's treasure, the Vedic literatures advise one about Krishna consciousness when one is inquisitive to know why he is in a distressed material condition. Powerful point. So if we if we have a real problem and we're sincerely inquiring, the scriptures and the Guru, he will tell us, actually, like Krishna said to Arjuna, Ashocharan vashochastvang prakyavadangscha bhasha se. You are speaking so many learned words. Arjuna was speaking so much philosophy. And he was speaking serious stuff. He was saying, you know, I'm supposed to kill my relatives, my friends. And what does Krishna say? You are a fool. You are speaking so much nonsense. You're actually posing yourself to be intelligent, but by listening to your words, I can understand you're a fool, number one. That's what Krishna is saying. Can you imagine? If somebody would say that nowadays, he would call the police, you know, abuse. He's so abusive. He's not feeling any compassion for that person. In a similar way, Mahaprabhu is saying that, you know, that the astrologer is telling him, hey, why are you unhappy? You have a huge wealth. Why are you lamenting? You're having a huge wealth. And what is this wealth? It's Krishna consciousness. what is Krishna consciousness? It basically means in a nutshell that we, as we said, we are here in this material world, we try to enjoy, we try to be happy by manipulating so many things around us. But what we fail to understand is that we are like a fish outside of the water. We are a spirit soul which has nothing to do with matter, and we try to become happy by manipulating matter, by taking matter for our enjoyment. So that's the first point that we understand. We cannot be happy with matter. But then the second thing, this is the negative point, the second point, the positive point is, but actually you are happy by your nature. You are a spirit and you have a relationship with God. And God is the cause of your happiness because God is perfect. And you have a perfect, intimate relationship with Him. We are looking for a relationship, we all have a relationship. But then the scriptures tell us who Krishna is and how we have actually a unique relationship with Him. And that's the point where we actually develop the desire to plan for life. Before we make a plan for life, we should have the desire to plan for life. Understand, I'm here in this illusion, which is like a dream, but I'm hearing there is another reality. And we see some descriptions in the scriptures about this reality. If we listen to them, one has to become attracted. So for example, in Brahma Samhita it is said that in the spiritual world where God lives, where Krishna lives, every step is a dance and every word is a song. This is not just some fairy tale, it's actually reality that if I speak to somebody, I'm singing all the time because I'm so happy. That's what's happening. You know, an example can be given the opera. If you go to the opera, everything is sung. It's very pleasant actually. It's a whole story, but it's all sung and all dance. This idea comes from the spiritual world, because in the spiritual world everybody is so happy that they just dance and sing. There's nothing else. That's just one thing, but of course the main point is Krishna is there and he's having a personal relationship with you and he's perfect and you are serving him, you're pleasing him. And he's, in exchange, he will reciprocate with your service. And that's what we are hankering for, that's what we are looking for. And so that's the thing we have to conclude if we are intelligent, that this life here is not going to bring me happiness. I can plan as much as I like, it's not going to work out, and history has proven that it didn't work out for anyone, if we are honest. So better to plan here, let's plan for the real life. And then we can think about the plan for this life. Because still we have this life. And Prabhupada is saying that actually if you're on a spiritual platform, you don't have to plan anything. But as long as you're not, you have to plan. And so there comes this point of, we understand we depend on Krishna, but at the same time we have to endeavor to plan. And how do we make our plan? We heard that Bhagavad Gita is there, which is actually helping us to chalk out the plan of our life. But is it enough to just read Bhagavad Gita to make a plan for our life? Yes?
We need guidance.
In the Bhagavad Gita itself it is said that you take the Bhagavad Gita in order for you to make a plan for your life. But then in Bhagavad Gita itself it says Tatvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha, that you should go to a person and learn from him. And that person, he will make the plan for our life. That's actually the understanding. We don't know, because see, the Bhagavad Gita is basically giving us the principles how we can make a plan for our life. But to apply principles in our own life can become more challenging. So we need a person who understands these principles perfectly. And not only that, but you need a person who has himself perfected his life. Hare Krishna. Sorry. So that's what we, when we come to the point of, okay, I want to attain real life, I need to have a plan, I take guidance from Bhagavad Gita, but then the point comes through, I need a guide, I need somebody who really tells me how I make a plan in my life. And so many of us, we have accepted such a person in our life, a guru who can show the path. But as a last point, I want to just focus on one very important principle, because we won't always have a person standing next to us to tell us, now you go left, you right, now you do this, you do that. Often we have to make our own choices in life. Small, medium, bigger, and of course if it comes to the bigger decisions, medium decisions, it's better to consult with the guru, with the advanced devotees. But one thing can guide us, and that is the following, that I want to make a plan for my life in order to attain real life. And real life basically means Krishna consciousness. No, that we understand I can only be happy if I attain Krishna. And now one very important thing is mentioned in the scriptures about this, that usually we have this conception that, there is the goal and I'm here and this is separating me from the goal, and now in order to achieve the goal I have to go there. This is also the case in Krishna consciousness, but not entirely. And here I'm reading a quote from Bhaktisiddhanta, where he says, hearing and chanting about Hari, Krishna, is both sadhana, sadhana means the process of attaining the goal of life, and sadhya, the ultimate goal. So, in other words, Krishna consciousness itself is the way to perfect life, and it's also the perfection of life. And we should always keep that in mind, that, and he's saying hearing and chanting, because hearing and chanting is the foundation of Krishna consciousness. If you hear about spiritual topics, if you chant about it, you actually connect with Krishna, you connect with God. And this is the solution, and the way to the solution. This will bring you to the solution of your life. And we can take this principle in our life. Whenever we make decisions, we can ask ourselves, will it help me to hear and chant about Krishna? Will it help me to increase my Krishna consciousness? Or maybe it will not. Maybe I tend to make a decision which will not help me to increase. In other words, to increase your practice of spiritual life. Coming to the temple, associating with devotees, studying, chanting, kirtan. This is the guiding principles. That is my decision, is my plan helping me to intensify my practice and in this way move closer to the goal, or is it not? And here's a small disclaimer, then we'll end. You need a teacher for that. It's not so easy, because, and for this we take the example of Arjuna. Arjuna was supposed to kill other people, and he was saying, this is not good, I will go to the forest and I will just beg and practice spiritual life. You would think, wow, that's a nice proposal, sounds very wise. But Krishna told him, no, it's not good. So I would say, if we made a survey with people who don't know anything about Bhagavad Gita and all this, 99% will say this is very good proposal, it's very wise, very. But Krishna smashed it, he said, no, it's not good. And so from this we can conclude that we are making wrong conclusions. And we often, one word which is also used in the verse of Arjuna, I'm reading it again. Yat Shreyasyan Nishchitam Bruitan Me. He was telling to Krishna, please, I'm confused, I don't know what to do. Yat Shreyasyan. Now you tell me what is Shreya. Shreya means this is it, which is the ultimate, which will give me the ultimate benefit. Not the immediate benefit, but the ultimate benefit. Arjuna going to the forest and renouncing everything may be immediately beneficial, but ultimately it will not be. And Krishna is explaining why. Because you have a certain nature which has to be engaged in this world, and if you're not engaging it properly, it will lead to many, many problems, so much so that you will not be able to practice spiritual life anymore. And you will fall down. So that's the point. We often cannot see the Shreyas, the ultimate benefit. For this we need a teacher to guide us. But in our decisions, everyday life and so on, let us take this principle of hearing and chanting is really what we need. That's the goal, and it's also the way to attain the goal. And we can try to... Prabhupada used to say we should mold our life in a way that we can always think of Krishna. Mold means you make, you form. So we can make our decisions with this principle. At the same time we should take guidance. So I will end here. And if there is any question or comment, otherwise the prasadam time has arrived. Thank you for your attention. Yes. We have Anna wants to say something.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear guests, thank you so much for the lecture, Damodar Prasad Prabhu. Thank you for coming. I just wanted to mention that the ones who were here last time, they remember that right now the marathon is going on, Srila Prabhupada Book Marathon. Every December we are trying to make an endeavor to distribute books of Srila Prabhupada, and outside in the entrance hall we have this book presents packed, and you can also choose your books, whichever you want, and we are giving them for a special price today for the whole month. So there's also an opportunity to sponsor books. Whoever doesn't have the chance to distribute himself can also sponsor, so we can distribute them. And yeah, that's it. We also have flyers with information, so yeah, please come to the book table if you're interested. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much, Bhakti Nana. Thank you for your attention. Now Prasad and program will continue. And yeah, actually we have some birthday. So if you all come out, and we're gonna sing for that devotee. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
That's good. Yeah.
last chain.